Welcome everybody. Today I want to talk about three things related to the war in Ukraine. First thing, I want to make a comment about the convoy on the west side of the Kyiv, which is kind of stuck for a past week. And second thing, I want to talk about sanctions on oil and gas from Russia. And then third thing, I want to talk about the Belarus. So first thing, I want to talk about this big convoy which is stuck for past week on the western side of the Kyiv, and it's slowly approaching Kyiv. And I want to tell you from a strategic point of view that this is not a good idea that this convoy will get stuck for another week, on another maybe couple weeks in the same place. It would be wise if they get closer to the Kyiv and the Russian troops starts actually infesting suburbs and parts of Kyiv. I tell you why. Imagine yourself that you are about to have a fight with someone, okay? So you are tightening up your fists and you're getting ready for a fight. On another side, you have the person which also is tightening up his fists, but on his shoulder is AR-15. Doesn't matter if you are better trained, more motivated, you have more courage, it doesn't really matter. This guy with AR-15 can just pull the trigger. He could be completely demotivated, he could be in much worse shape than you. He is going to win. How this is related to the situation around the Kyiv? If this convoy gets into the city and Russian troops starts going street to street and fighting with Ukrainians, then Russia cannot use ballistic missiles, they cannot use heavy artillery, they cannot use cluster ammunitions, they cannot use thermobaric bombs. Basically, the playing field is going to be level, because you will have the Ukrainian guys with light armor, their guns, and the anti-tank shoulder rocket launchers, and then you will have the Russians coming with the tanks and with their light armor. And with the tank, you can do some damage to the building, but it's not the same as when you shoot really heavy artillery and missiles, where you can take with one shot entire building. So what I'm trying to say is that when they start fighting street to street, Ukrainians are going to save more civilians, and they have actually a chance to survive and maybe push back Russians. But if this convoy is stuck for another week or two on the outside of Kyiv, Russians, and particularly Putin, is going to get really angry. He will not send those troops to the city. Instead of this, he will start shooting rockets. He will start shooting heavy artillery, which we have seen so far. And they will level the Kyiv. Kyiv is going to look like Warsaw in 1945 or Grozny in 2000. And we don't want this. What we want to save the civilians, because casualties in civilian population are going to be much greater if Russians don't enter the city, because then don't care. They'll just shoot wherever, just they'll just put the measurements and start bombarding the center city, certain part of the city, without any precision strikes. They will just destroy a lot of people. Actually, you have to realize it is still in the city. Ukraine, it's 40 million population country. There's just 1.5 left. So all the rest of the people are still there. So it's not a wise move to hold this convoy outside of the Kyiv. Ukrainians should actually go there and give them maybe a little bit of fuel and give them some food and water so they can do some progress. It sounds sarcastic, it sounds bizarre, but actually this convoy is something which can save the civilian population and it can save the city. Because like I said, if they don't get to the city and they hold them outside, Russians have the force which Ukrainians don't have, and they won't be able to stop missiles flying because they don't have air missiles defense systems. They don't have Iron Dome like Israel has. They don't have this. If they had this, okay, I understand. They can kind of hold the Russians outside of the city. But in their best own interest would be to let the Russians kind of creep into the city partially, in a smart way. I'm not talking about giving up the city completely. I'm talking about letting them into the certain area. So Russians, especially all the command, they know that they cannot just knock down the city because they're their own guys over there. There will be POWs, some of them are gonna be caught, and then the heavy artillery, rockets, and air bombarding is going to be out of the picture. That's what we want right now in Ukraine. We want out of the picture artillery, heavy artillery, long range, rockets, ballistic missiles, and we want air force out of the picture. That's what President Zelensky is talking about. Enforce the no-fly zone. If NATO cannot give you this, think about different ways. This what I just said. If you cut Russians from all major cities, Odessa and Kyiv, Kharkiv, all another major cities, they will not go in, but they will not go back home. They will start bombing the cities. Okay, another thing which I would like to talk about is the Belarus, okay? This small country on the north of Ukraine, Alexander Lukashenko is a dictator similar to Putin. What I would like to say is that so far, officially, we know that those 3 attempts on the life of President of Ukraine. What Ukrainians should do, they should assemble the squad of professionals and send to Belarus and assassinate this guy. And it would be much easier to assassinate Lukashenko than Putin. What this would cause? This would destabilize Belarus because a lot of people are against him. If he's out of the picture, I think that there would be a lot of commotion in Belarus. And hopefully someone from different point of view would take over the power because Russians are floating from the north. Big time, big time. That would change entire equation of the situation. So that is something which I think that Ukrainians are capable, because Lukashenko is less protected than Putin. It's much poorer country, and it would be basically much easier to get rid of the Lukashenko than, let's say, Putin. And the third thing which I would like to talk about is the sanctions on Russian oil and especially natural gas. This is not done yet. probably as you follow the events, there is a lot of sanctions on banks, on businesses, yachts, properties are being seized. But the main thing which can hurt the most Russian economy are the sanctions on their natural gas, not even oil, but natural gas, which is floating in huge numbers into the Europe. Why this is not done? It's a political situation. In United States right now we have the president which comes from democratic slash, I would say, kind of socialist party, and they are big supporters for the green energy. If President Biden decides to sanction Russian energy sector, then we would have huge increase in the prices of energy. And he's not willing to reopen the wells for the gas, for oil in United States, because they want all the energy from the solar, from the wind, which is a dream, which is a pipe dream. But President Biden is being held hostage by all those, I would say, green energy lovers, which value more their ideology than the life of Ukrainian children, women, and civilian population. Because if suddenly today Biden decides to put 100% embargo on Russian energy sector, the Russians' economy would be in big doo-doo. It would really quickly dry out the money floating into the country. And every day when Ukrainians are surviving, it works against the Putin. But if the energy sector would be cut out of the picture, this would cut out of the Russian economy from immediate income coming, which is funding the war machine. But like I said, we have the political situation, and it's sad. For example, Germans quickly said, we don't want the Nord Stream 2, we're gonna burn more coal. They're very pragmatic and quick decision. That's what should be done in US, in my opinion. If really US government, current government, wants to really help Ukraine, if they really want to help, they should put 100% embargo on Russian energy sector right now. Of course, they're gonna be selling towards east, towards the buddies in China, but it's gonna be for much lower price, and logistically, by the time they start bringing gas or oil to China, it will take time. And remember, time right now is crucial for Ukrainians. It's on their side and it's against the Russians. Okay, thank you so much. Please let me know what you think about those three topics which I was just talking about, and my prayers and my heart goes to Ukrainian soldiers, which I'm watching very carefully. Very brave people, extremely brave and inspiring. They really want their freedom. Thank you so much. God bless you.